Hey guys, Ben here with Oddly Armed, and today I'm going to be doing another disassembly video with the UXR. My original one that I released with my initial thoughts on the rifle ended up getting corrupted because the hard drive was absolutely taking a crap. So I'm going to be redoing it here and giving you guys a look, and this is at the 450 round mark, so I can show you a bit of the wear on the inside of the receiver that I've seen so far at the same time. So let's go ahead, get into it and see how you disassemble the UXR. All right, so we'll go ahead and start things off by popping out the magazine. Then the next step is going to be pushing out this captive pin here. So this will push out from the left to the right, and hopefully it won't be too tight today. There we go, and at that point your lower receiver will just pull straight back off of the dovetail there, and we'll take a look at this again in a second. And then coming back to the receiver, see we have our magwell here, so to remove that, all you gotta do is give it a little bit of a whack, and they'll pop off. And this has your magazine release as well as your bolt catch in there. So if you need to convert it to 5.56 or maybe 7.62 by 39 down the line, this is a part you'll swap out for that. And that's pretty much the first steps here to get this thing disassembled. Next thing, you're gonna take your recoil spring assembly back here. There's a little plate at the back, and you press in on that and press it up. It'll release your recoil spring to come out the back of the rifle. So you can see we have a long non-captive recoil spring on a rod here. And that's pretty much all you got to do there. And at that point, you can go ahead and pull the bolt carrier group out of the rifle. So you just go in there and pull it back. And it should, if I actually pop out the pin here again, come out the back of the receiver. So here is our bolt carrier group. All right, so here's our bolt carrier group, and again, this is after 500 rounds of use, so you can see there is a little bit of wear that's going on here at the front, and then just on the sides. That's pretty typical on what you see for rifles, so it's nothing too out of the ordinary from the start here. But to disassemble this, what you need to do is push out your firing pin, retaining pin here at the rear. So we'll just press that across, and that will pull out here, and our firing pin will go shooting out the back. So that's actually a pretty big, beefy firing pin, so that's actually not bad there. And then our cam pin's gonna pull out the side, and the bolt will pull straight out the front. So this is a pretty standard AR-180 style bolt, and you can see there's a little bit of wear on the lugs. It's nothing too concerning that I'm seeing at this point, but that is something to keep an eye on as I get more rounds down the range with it. And that's basically it. So you can see the bolt carrier group here. Again, firing pin and spring will fall out the back. But that's basically all there is for the bolt carrier group. And then at the back there is a little spring-loaded buffer, so this will likely take out a little bit of the recoil at the end of travel, but it's not something super beefy, and it still has a fair amount of recoil. All right guys, one other thing I wanted to take a look at real quick is the cam pin. As you can see, I got a fair bit of wear on there already. So you can see some shiny spots. Up here on the top of the cam pin, there's some wear on there that's a little bit concerning. So this is a part I definitely want to keep an eye on as I get more rounds through it when I get the rifle back. One feature I actually really like about the UXR is how easy it is to take out your trigger group. So as you can see here at the back of the trigger group, there's a button. So if you press in on that button and then lift up on the charging handle, you can actually pop it right out the side of the rifle there. So if you come to the other side, you can pop out this side as well, and this one takes a little bit more because it's got your entire mechanism there as well. And at this point, you can actually go ahead, grab the hammer, and just pull it straight up out of your lower receiver. So this is a really nice trigger from the factory. However, this casing here mimics the internals of an AR-15 receiver. So this will essentially take almost any AR-15 trigger group. I haven't really tried like a Geisley or anything, but you can swap this out for a standard AR-15 trigger. Now coming back to the lower receiver again, get this stuff out of the way. There's actually a screw here on the side of the stock, so you can remove the stock here. And I actually like the stock PWS UXR stock. However, you can remove this with just the screw there on the side of the receiver. And then it'll pull off, and you can see we actually have a Picatinny rail section at the back. However, the thing to keep in mind is this is at an angle, so you can't just put a standard Picatinny rail stock on this and expect it to work out really well. PWS is going to be coming out with like an AR-15 buffer tube adapter for this system. that'll put it at the correct angle. However, this Picatinny rail is pretty useless as it is right now due to the angle. And real quick, I want to show you the damage on the receiver from where the charging handle broke. So you can see this is actually the dovetail that the charging handle is supposed to ride on. And if I give it a little tap here, you can see it pops out, and you can see it's a dovetail, except something in there definitely broke, and it's not supposed to push in like that. And then also this is the bolt, or the piece on the side of the receiver that the charging handle is supposed to lock into. And as you can see, that just pops freely out of the rifle. It's on the other side of the rifle here as well. So you can see in there is a roll pin that goes over this little block here, which is supposed to hold it in place while it's recoiling. It's not the most reliable system. The spring here is not the strongest, so it doesn't really hold to the front that well. But you can see on the left side here, the charging handle does look better. This is where I start running into resistance with it, so that is an issue. And you can see it kind of popping out there. So this is going back to PWS to get fixed currently. And the next step is going to be taking our handguard off. So there's a single push pin at the back of the handguard here. So with a cartridge case or a wrench or something, just pop it and it'll go ahead and slide across, and it is captive. And there goes that block sliding out again. So at this point, we can go ahead and pull the handguard straight off the front of the rifle. So you can see our handguard here. It's an aluminum handguard. I really don't have any complaints about it. Up at the front here, it is a little bit slimmer, so you can grip it with your, C grip, and it's very comfortable. But yep, that's really all there is to see with a handguard, and that exposes our barrel here. So at the front, this is going to be our bore evacuator. So again, this is technology that you generally see on main battle tanks with like 120 millimeter cannon on it. And what this does is it essentially creates a vortex of pressure behind the round, which blows all of the gas forward and creates a pressure wave going out the front of the barrel. And so the gas doesn't go back into the chamber after you fire a round, or at least that's the idea. Now, in practice, I don't notice a huge difference with the bore evacuator versus something like a SCAR 17. However, as I continue testing, I'll probably get a better feel for that. Yeah, real quick, I did want to show you, I figured out how to swap the charging handle over. So you can see there's a little bit of a block here, and a rim of a cartridge case fits under there. And if you put the rim under there and you pull up on that, then it's going to allow you to slide your charging handle eventually. It's kind of awkward just given where it's at. So you kind of have to hold it there, and then it's going to slide forward off here. And that's how you go ahead and swap this from the right side to the left side. And then just looking over, this is what it's supposed to look like with that dovetail there. So you can see it's solid in the side of the receiver. It pokes out like that. And on this side of the rifle, it just falls straight out. So this is obviously broken, and that's what needs to be fixed by PWS. And the next step is going to be pulling our barrel out of the UXR. So this is really easy to do. You have these 3 screws here in the side of the receiver. So you just take a screwdriver and then you back these out about 1.5 turns or so. And it doesn't take a whole lot of movement to get these to where it'll release a barrel. You can kind of see where it stops gripping it. And so you just give it a bit of a turn, and the last one's a little bit tight here. And at this point, the barrel should basically just pull straight out the front of the rifle. And you can see that right here. This is your piston mechanism. And this looks like a short stroke piston to me. Employee at PWS explained to me why they call this a modified long stroke gas piston system. Essentially, this piston rod locks into a block here in the receiver that directly attaches to the bolt carrier group. So they are locked together for the first portion of the travel. However, once the bolt fully unlocks, the mechanism in the receiver releases the piston rod. So just the bolt carrier group continues to move backwards. So to me, that sounds like a short stroke piston with extra steps, but they, whether it's for marketing or there's an actual engineering reason behind it, are calling it a modified long stroke gas piston system. And at this point, the receiver is essentially fully field stripped. So let's go ahead and take a quick look on the inside of it. So you can see we do have some steel rails in there that the bolt carrier group rides on, and right there, that's something I'm actually concerned about, the 500 round mark. You can see there's a little bit of a divot getting driven into that steel rail. So as I get more rounds through it, I kind of want to keep an eye on that and see if that continues to get worse. I could potentially see that becoming an issue down the line. You see this is an aluminum receiver, again with those steel rails, and then our trunnions in there. So that is a titanium trunnion, and that's where they get some of the weight savings on this rifle. And then you can see the inside of our charging handle sled here, and we can go ahead and push that back and get a good look in there. And then you can kind of see where it's starting to wear on the inside of the receiver here. So I think that's some of the issue that I'm having with the charging handle getting locked up in the receiver. And when we push the charging handle back, you can actually see part of the mechanism there with their modified long stroke gas piston system, or so they call it. Still not entirely sure how that works, but that is part of the thing that actually locks the gas piston along with the bolt carrier group. And that's really all there is to see on the receiver. And the last thing that we can do here is getting our piston out of the rifle. So you can see our gas piston here at the front, and we need to go ahead and rotate that. Now, if you look there, there's a detent in there, so we need to go ahead and press that in. This part's really awkward to do, but I'm just gonna take a bullet tip and essentially try and get it in the right position. Right there should do it. And we just need a twist, and then it'll basically keep rotating until it's 180 degrees from the normal setting. And then this front portion, your switch, is gonna go ahead and pop off. And then we can go ahead and pull the piston itself out the back of the rifle here. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at that. So you can see we do have the 3 holes there for normal, adverse, and suppress. And that's essentially all you need to do to fully disassemble the UXR. All right, guys, so that is a PWS UXR fully disassembled. So thank you guys for checking it out and for taking a look at what the wear looks like after 500 rounds. So I'm sending this into PWS now to get the charging handle fixed. And then after I get it back, I'm gonna continue doing some more testing on it, and I'm gonna give you guys an honest, unbiased look at how the rifle is doing. So please like, share, subscribe, and then stay tuned for more content.